I am CNJ and welcome to my Thursdays episode. Remember, on Thursdays it's CNJ and Scotty, and this evening we'll be talking about are our examination results a true reflection of our ability? Are they? Well, before we get into that, I heard this Jamaican proverb today, and it says, and every fish I see a shark. I'm going to repeat it. And every fish I see a shark. I'm going to bring Scotty in at this time and ask him if he knows what that proverb actually means before we get into today's show. Well, we'll get others to come in. All right. So Scotty, do you know what that Jamaican proverb actually means? And welcome to tonight's show.
And every fish I see a shark.
Yeah.
I guess it means that in the sea we have different persons, different animals, different creatures, and even though the shark is one that is vicious, even though the shark is a vicious one, we actually have some fish which are just like octopus and snail and those things. So we have different personalities in the sea.
I see you're trying to use some context clue to find out what it is. But when we talk about every fish a shark, the thing is, sometimes you cannot judge a person by where they're coming from. In every community, there are a lot of different types of individuals. And not because someone may come from a particular community, you're going to classify them in a particular way. Sometimes the best people come from a community that you may think is a bad community. And sometimes some of those good communities that you believe only certain sort of people come from, they may not be nice. So remember, as we continue through life, and every fish a shark, we should not judge a book by its covers. All right? We should never do that. All right, Scotty, so bring us into today's program. What are we discussing this evening?
So we are discussing whether our examination results or our degrees or different certification that we have, is it a representation of us? That is the topic for tonight. And we are looking on it on both, and I want to look at that on both sides. Right? Meaning that persons when somebody get a grade 2 and you get a grade 3, is it that person is better than you? And things like that. So that's what I want us to look on. Right, CNJ?
Yes, I understand. The thing is that sometimes some people just swat for an exam and they get a very good grade. And then the next day you ask them a question. They can't give you one answer. Not one answer. It's just a SWOT. So I love when you came up with this topic and let us have a frank discussion. I've invited 2 persons, but they're not here yet. And they may come because you know how the internet is sometimes in our country. But if persons who are watching us online, what do you think of the entire topic? That are our examination results a true reflection of who we are? Are they a true reflection of our abilities? Because sometimes they really are not a true reflection of our abilities. So I see Scotty is still setting up. All right, he will be. I'm going to take you into the other device into the studio now, Scotty.
Yes, so I'm actually using the phone. You can just take down the phone one. I'm using the phone here. I'm using the phone here.
All right, go ahead now, Scotty.
Oh, I'm not canceling this.
It's out. It's out of the studio. Don't worry yourself. Yes, I'm hearing you clearly. And I'm seeing you clearly as well. Yes, I'm hearing
Okay,
and
no
seeing you.
problem. Are you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Not hearing you now at all. Guys, that's how sometimes we have some technical difficulties. Sorry about that, everyone. We're having some technical difficulties and it will be sorted out shortly. Okay, talk now. Let us see.
Okay, much better. I'm hearing you. You kind of take down this one. You kind of pull down this one in the background.
Okay.
Pull on the phone one.
Okay.
All right. Guys. So as I was saying now that the reason why I chose that topic is because sometimes we believe that we're mighty in terms of our we are so brilliant because we we have achieved some form of qualification. And I want to put it a little bit deeper, Ms. Johnson, to say that what really matters is it your certification or is it your whole demeanor? And what I mean by that is that suppose somebody is bright, right? The point the 5.0 GPA, but you have somebody with a 2.5 GPA and 2.5 GPA, but they're willing to take telling, they're willing to be on work on time, they're willing to be corrected and things like that. Which one would you want to be in your workplace as an employer? So
I've always said to individuals that there are some persons who have a lot of potential, but they never fulfill the potential. So a lot of times people are willing more to have a hard worker, somebody who is willing to come in and spend the long hours, somebody who is willing to learn. Because the thing, what I've learned in life is, it is not the test results sometimes that really tell you the ability of somebody. It's how hard they will work to get the job done.
that's so true. That's so true. And I remember, I remember in electrical class, I was not the best. As a matter of fact, I would put myself at the end of the electrical class in terms of my grades. They used to joke and call me cash pot for my grades in electrical class in high school. When they're giving out scores, they
The
normal.
scores were always below 10.
No, not so bad, not so bad, not so bad, not so bad, not so bad. But I remember when I was giving out the grades, and like they said, Miss Claudia Johnson, CNJ, the body making noise, and yeah, because they know say you're get high marks, right? When my name, if the teacher wanted the class to be quiet, the teacher would say Gavin Scott, and the class was quiet because that was the high point, that was the climax of the class. What score would he get this time? And 23, 24. And that time Cashpot, when I was in high school, Cashpot just came out and it was being played once a day. Right? And some birds were saying, calling me Cashpot. That was my nickname in high school, Cashpot, because of my electrical
Was
score.
the highest number at 25 in the cash pot at the time?
25, I would not pass. I would not pass 40. 40, I would not pass 40. All I try. I did not pass 40. And it reached a point where I I was we were supposed to go around and ask teachers to sign a recommendation sheet. It didn't like at our school it is sent around to teachers by teachers. At my school they give you the paper with the classes and you had to go and attain the teacher's signature, right? When I would go, and I have to be honest with you, my favorite teacher was Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed was my favorite teacher. Every lunchtime I was in the staff room talking to Mr. Reed.
So he was the electrical teacher?
He was also the electrical teacher as well. Right? He was like a father figure to me at school. So I would not be around students because I would like to discuss topics that, mature topics and things like that. And to be...
Let me ask a question. So you're saying that when it was CXC time, you had to go to this teacher that you always got a failing grade for and ask him to sign you up for the subject?
Yes. Yes. And
Did
I remember,
he sign it? Did he
and I remember, I'm gonna share with you. And I remember vividly when I went to him and asked him to sign my paper. Two of my it was three of us, two of my best friends. He signed both papers first. Then I asked him, he said that he would not sign my own. And I felt away. As far as I was supposed to, I feel away. That was me. I felt away. And because not only was a teacher denying me from attaining that CXC, it was my favorite teacher. It was my role model at the time, denying me. And let me just add to it before. I repeated fifth form, and it was doing my second fifth form. It was doing my second. It was doing my first repeat, I must say, because I repeat only one time. It was while repeating that I went and asked him. And I said, "Sir, I'm gonna change first because I made a mistake before, and I know that I should not be here, and I've wasted 1 year, and therefore just give me a chance and so forth." And he said to me, I'll never forget this. He said to me that my heart is saying yes, but my head is saying no. And it was somebody who was a logical thinker, someone who did not make impulse moves or emotional moves. So he was saying that because of our relationship, being that he's like a father to me, he was saying to me that his heart feels it for me and wants to allow me to be recommended, but his head is saying that I cannot manage it and he should not sign me. However, he went ahead and he signed me. He made a recommendation. He made the recommendation that I should go and sit the subject.
And I can't wait to find out if you passed. Did you pass the subject? Did you? That's the crux of the matter.
Well, I passed the subject.
Okay.
But go ahead, Ms. Johnson. What is the question?
No, I said that is good. I'm happy to hear that you passed. So he gave you a chance and you did pass.
I passed the subject. At that time, when I don't know if you realize that it seemed like each year we're coming up in each year that CXC is producing examination, it seems to be more easy on the candidates. First time you have to know your formulas out of your head and things like that. So out of your head, sorry, and things like that. And therefore, what happened with me at that time? 60 was 60 at that time, and I passed electrical. And I put pun intended. I passed.
CXC is not CXC now.
No, to be honest with you, even more than last year, I can safely say that it is not, and it is not due solely on CXC, but this pandemic has hit us off our feet. And I believe that for the first time, sitting an examination, doing CXC, it also had an impact on the delivery of the examination, which was solely multiple choice questions. I know it was marked or it was reviewed and things like that. I believe that it was not the best that CXC had to offer, and I cannot blame them fully because, as you know, all of the world is in a pandemic. So I'm saying that CXC at my time was actually, when you're going to CXC, you fret. You fret. Persons are actually missing CXC. Persons are not going to sit the exam and try something. In my time, everybody went in the room and did their best, trying their very best to represent themselves and their families and their schools to the best of their ability. And grade 3, when you got to grade 3, during my time, it was not something to cry for. You felt proud for a grade 3. And
And,
two,
and you always talk about my generation. During my time, a 3 was a failure. Only
you
1
see,
and 2 was a pass. If you got a 3, it's a failure.
you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
So
I am serious. During my time with CXC, if the only passes were 1 and 2, 3 was a failure.
So therefore, my statement earlier is indeed correct to say that each year it seems like CXC is getting I don't want to say easier, manageable. That's the word to use. Or it is not so challenging as the previous years. We can safely say that. But when I got my grade 3 in electrical, and the result came out and he saw my grade 3, and for the other students it was either ones and twos, and he felt delighted in my grade 3 more than the ones and two because he had lost some form of faith in my ability, and he was very proud to know that he had risked it, giving me a chance to excel, and I did so. So it the
What
grade
I
3
will
does
say
not
is that the more stories you tell of your educational journey, the more I understand why you are the teacher that you are right now. Because you know, and it's good that you are using these examples from your life to actually kind of groom how you operate with your students right now. And I'm happy for that for you. I'm very happy for that.
oh yes, Mr. Hanson. And so, and to be honest with you, I remember doing well in school. I was very let me see now. I was we'll say no. P, um, public address system needs to be put out for the principal to talk to this school population. I was the one in charge of that. Planning events in the school, I was in charge of that. President for Octagon Club, I was in charge of that. I was very active, but my school life, my grades were not reflecting of my enoughness in doing other things. So
I understand you perfectly. I understand you perfectly. But let me ask, because you brought up the topic that examination results sometimes do not really reflect our ability. So let me ask you, what are your views on that? And then I'm going to start to share what some persons online are saying.
all right. I am just alluding to it. I'm just alluding to it to say, and I learned this. I am still learning this. Even working sometimes interviewing process for the heart program and things like that. I realize as well that um somebody said something to me. I reminded me I know about before. It was Einstein who said, if you give a fish, a monkey, and an animal to climb a tree, the automatically the more advanced person or the more person with an edge would be the monkey climbing the tree. So in terms of an assessment, that is where we need to look on this answer. And for those of us who are listening who are not off with the terminology and assessment, it means how do we test students to make sure that it is fair. For CXC purposes, they give us a syllabus, or everybody who's in IT in Jamaica, in the other islands, they will use a syllabus to cover the topics, and then they ask you the question on the syllabus. That is a way what they say that it is kind of fair. But you have different type of learners now. We have different type of learning style. The auditory learner learn by hearing. We have the visual learner learn by seeing and pictures and things like that. And we have the tactile learner or the kinesthetic learner who learn by touching, who learn by actually doing anything. So if you go into an examination and you ask a student, what is a computer? What is a computer or things like that? Somebody who is a visual learner will not will not benefit from that question because there's no visual or no representation of it. So therefore, they would have to recall what they learned in class or what they have read. While when you are given some a video and you hear music being played and they ask you what instrument is that, they ask you based on the sound, what instrument is that, the visual learner will be at a disadvantage now because all they're doing now is hearing hearing the sound that the device is making. So the visual learner is at a disadvantage there. And also the tactile learner who learns hands-on. When you say use the keyboard and press P, use the keyboard and press P, and because you always press P on the keyboard and so forth, you are able to know to identify P. So so to answer the question, what I'm trying to allude to is that the assessment which we use to assess our students, it should be given in such a way that it caters for all the learning style. And where do I learn it from? At my previous job that I'm looking at, we had to ask the same question, but use different assessment methods in identifying to challenge the students. So, for example, it was a special ed school. That means they had some form of disabilities in terms of they have mental disabilities, right? So they would not be so pickers of slow learners and things like that. So when I'm teaching about computer, I had to what? The visual learner, show them a computer, show them a microwave, show them a TV, and ask them which one is the TV, and they will go and touch. Sorry, we're showing the computer, and they go and touch the computer, and you say they're right. If they touch the TV, they are wrong, and things like that. That is how I would assess the visual learners in the same class. The ones who are auditory learners now, you would play something, and so which sound from the computer would hear this, and give a typing sound, and the person would hold up the hand and say, "Sorry, that sounds like a keyboard. That sounds like somebody typing a keyboard." And that is how you assess the auditory ones. The ones that are tactile now, you would say, "Go onto the keyboard and type the word bus," and the person would go to the keyboard and type bus. Or you would say, "Go and touch the keyboard, go and lift the keyboard," and that is how you would cater for the tactile learner. So I believe, to answer the question, I believe that we should look at how we assess students in the classroom and do not let the auditory learner feel that they are more important than the visual learner, or the visual learner more important than the tactile learner, and so forth. It's supposed to be an assessment which not only caters for the learners, but it also builds them to want to be a part of the learning environment. To be honest, I believe that I'm a part of the problem too as well, because we assess students. Sometimes we assess them and we using standardized tests. Can't pronounce it very good. Standardized tests, giving them one standard test, and then some pass and some don't pass. And the ones who pass sometimes is more knowledgeable in terms of they can recall things that them hear in a class, and the ones who fail sometimes are the ones who can do the hands-on thing in the computing. So when you look at how we assess students.
Okay, so I think I understand that it is not so much the tests that you're saying that are not actually showing people's proper ability, but or inability or resistance to actually testing persons in different ways. So because we have already established, and you established the fact that people learn in different ways, but we only use one type of testing mechanism to test everybody. So there might be persons who may be brilliant in one way, but our testing system does not actually facilitate finding out really what it is that they actually know. We're getting into a stage now, that people don't have to learn to recall certain things anymore. There are certain things that I would have learned for math, like how you multiply by 10. There are certain rules that you would have learned and you would have practiced.
Shortcuts.
Now I see students multiplying 5 by 10, and I say they take up the calculator, and I'm saying, when in my generation you know your timetable. Now it's as if they don't even know 5 times 5. So it's as if the way in which the world is going, because they have access to all of these different things nowadays. There are certain things that they're just not learning. They just believe it's not supposed to happen. And you can't say to that child is not brilliant, because there are certain things that they can reason out that maybe when we were at that age, we could not do it. We couldn't do it. So our testing mechanism needs to improve. It needs to adapt, because we have been testing this way for a very long time. But the world has been evolving. So the way in which we test people really has to change. It has to change.
I don't quite remember, Ms. Johnson, which country, but there's a country that is doing so well. And you know how the country is doing well? I need to research and share it with you. Are you hearing Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you well.
Oh, because I see the microphone mute.
No, you remember your microphone is from the other device.
Okay. So I'm saying that there's a country, I don't know which country, where they don't teach they don't teach the children until they reach a certain age. In our culture, once the child is 2 years old or so forth, I think it's 2 or 1, they go to basic school and then they start primary school. That country do not start that. What they start them on is a basic psychomotor skills. Let them they show ball, they play by themselves, that they go and discover things on their own until they reach the formative age where they actually teach them things. They don't believe in giving students homework either. They say once you go home, you are supposed to be relaxed with your family and so forth and have a bond. So we need to look at other countries, what they are doing, because sometimes homework, even though the homework is supposed to be geared at reinforcing what you're doing in the classroom, it takes away family time where fathers and mothers are supposed to be together, teaching them table manners all your day, letting them know that things are how things are. And to be honest with you, sometimes us adults, sometimes we take home work, especially teachers. We take out work to mark the students' homework. We do lesson plans at home, and therefore we don't have much time for the family. And therefore the social part of the child's development is not catered for. And when that child go out there and don't know if you please, thank you, and to have a heart towards another human being, we wonder what is the problem. What we focus on education, which is not wrong, nothing is wrong in focusing on education, but there should be a balance in person's life. And if someone gets an F and fail a subject, it is not, I do not believe that it is a representation of you being a failure. It is a representation to say that you have not grasped the concept as yet.
Okay, I like what you said just now. A failure at a subject does not mean the child is a failure. And I think a lot of times we personalize these exam results and we put them onto ourselves, and we don't look on it as just this. I normally say to students, if you have failed this test, it has now passed. Let us look towards the future. What are we going to do to ensure that you pass the next one? So, but a lot of times when students start getting failing grades from an early stage, they start to believe that they themselves are a failure and that they will never, ever do better. And I love the point you just made about we need to get to understand from early, how does this child learn? How, let us not just go straight into the content. Let us find out about the child. What is the best way to reach this child? And then if a child is in your class and the child is continuously failing, we have to assess ourselves as the facilitators. What is it that we may not be doing or we are doing that may be affecting the child a particular way? Now, let me just say to teachers who may be listening, I'm not taking the responsibility away from the child to put out the best effort to learn. I'm just saying that as facilitators of learning, we need to realize that we have a part to play. Because I'll tell you something, Gavin, there was a year that I had a class. It's not a far in the past. I had a class, and no matter what I tried, they were just not getting it. And I would leave that class, and when I get to my office, I would literally be near in tears because I don't know why wasn't I reaching these children. I got them. I didn't have them from the start. I got them late on in the game, and I tried everything I was trying. But you know what is happening? Those children are in is with no, they have left high school now. They have left high school, and when I saw the CXC results, and some of them who I never thought would have passed, get 1 and get 2 and get 3. I had to look and say, hold on, the CXC marking them paper, right? Because I couldn't believe that some of them passed. But what it showed me though is that if you just continue to work with people, even though they may not showing the results that you're thinking, if you just continue to work, something will happen. And I was so happy that some of them really got the results. They may have gone to extra class, yes. But the thing is that every little part that was to play was played. And I was so happy that that happened because I really thought I was failing them. So we just have to continue. But what we have to do, as I said before, the testing system, if nothing else comes from this conversation, the testing system really has to improve. In
today, I had a class today. And I was sharing with them that the difference between a 1 and a 2 and a 3 is how you answer a question. And there's some basic things in answering questions that I believe that our students are not really, we're not really as educators teaching our students how to answer a certain question. So what, how, who, when, where, those are all questions being asked, but it requires a specific answer. And I believe that is how sometimes we are failing them. Because
I think part of our classes should not be just about content, A part of each of our classes should be geared at how do you answer these questions. So these question and answering techniques needs to be a part of our classes. It's not just sharing content.
And today I discovered, and I was saying to my students, that when a question is asked, what is a definition, why is the reason, tell us the reason, and those are just simple things, common things that, to be honest with you, today I was very upset with them, and I said something. I wanted them to me, I said, sir, we're gonna shock you. We're gonna shock you. And I said, if you shock me, I would. If you shock me,
I would be happy.
No. I'm not happy. I would die because I know that all of you here can pass. Okay. The problem is that I do not want any grade 3. I believe that you're capable of getting a grade 1.
Okay, so you are trying to get to them. You're trying to let them know that even though you're there talking and talking, it's not that you think that they're going to fail. It is just that you want
they believe that I think that they're not going to pass. But I know that they're going to pass. But what they're going to pass with, they're capable of getting a grade 1. I know, with my IT, that's my EDPM group. With my IT group, I gave them a test. And they the end of year exam last year, and they studied. And when they got the result, they almost cried because they were saying that they did not do so well. And I must say, I want to have 1/5 from IT group for this year. And I want to say that we have a special bond. We did the examination online, and they were at home where they could go and use the Google to research answers. But they say, sir, you trust us enough, and we want to show you where we're at in reality, because we know if we should go and research and Google something, it will not represent where we're at completely, and you will not be able to make the adjustment before CXC. So I must big up my IT class and being having integrity and doing the right thing.
All right, wonderful, and that comes from how you interact with them as well. But let me just say, guys, our topic this evening, we're looking on exam results. Are they a true reflection of person's abilities? We are saying that other times the problem is with the testing. Sometimes we're not testing persons the way based on how they learn, based on how they're able to recall. It is just one way that we test, and so some persons will never ever get a grade 1, although. Yeah. they may be able to, if we are testing them a different way. There are persons who are very good at tests, but when it
Yes.
comes to real life situations, they're no good at all. And
Yes.
that is just how it is. But as we go forward and as we make recommendations to different ministries of education and to different stakeholders in education, we're saying that let us start looking at different ways in which we test people, different ways in which we actually deal with them in the classroom. Because sometimes these tests, even though it's the way that we're using right now for further education and for placement in jobs, sometimes it's not a true reflection of person's abilities. But Scotty, that there are, when you go for a job right now, they're not just giving you, they don't just only ask for your results anymore. They give you a practical thing to do.
I got it. I got it. I got an exam. When I came for the IT job, I got a 60 past paper to do. I got a 60 past paper to do. And as I always share with you in jobs that I'm not coming from the classroom. I'm not coming with experience from a classroom. I'm actually coming from an organization, a government organization, which I was my title was a job coach. So my job was to motivate and send out young people with disability to different working sites to work and experience the working world, even though they have a disability. So I have to foster between the employer and the participant who has a disability, and you know that he can work. He just have a disability, but he can do work and things like that. So when I came for the interview, I wasn't prepared any at all for it. So that is how I learned the hard way. Let me just big up, because we're saying some of the ways in which we are not being tested. Let me just big up hard. Let me just big up hard, which I was a part of hard, and their assessment is one in which CXC can go or can look at or model. There is a program at Hard where if you're a mechanic, if you're a mechanic for 5 years or 10 years or some amount of years, Hard will come and see what you're doing and give you a certification, a certification. You don't have to go to the school and learn from scratch. They're saying that if you work so long for so much years in the field, you're supposed to know something, and you should have some paper behind you to say that you know this. I can safely say that there are some persons with some papers that is full of content, but the practical part of it, they're not all fail any at all with it. There's some mechanic who can tell that this is the bumper, this is this is that. Go into the car, change this, change that. They can tell you, but they just can't do it. They just don't know the practical side. I have someone who can read and write, and they can pull off this and put on that. And let me just use a practical example first. You can see, Usain Bolt is the fastest man in the world, and when he was running, I think it was Glenn, I don't remember his last name. Glenn, I don't remember his coach name. But his coach was good at knowledge, telling his skill that he needs, all this and so forth. But his coach is a big fat man who could not run the 100 meter any at all. I could beat him in 100 meter. But he knew the knowledge, he knew the styles and the skills and how to run, but he could not do it himself. So therefore, we need to look not only focus on the content, but focus also on the practical side. Assess students on not only the knowledge of how they do it, but the practical side. Do not only focus on a written paper, because I can tell you for myself, personally speaking, when I'm sitting down and doing an examination and I'm nervous, I am nervous, and sometimes I know the answer. When I was at Mike, I was very confused, because some teachers say, I want it to be answer your question, talk. But some teachers said, you talk too much, get to the point. So that is where I learned to not to when I'm in exam, look at the lecturer themselves. Look at the lecturer who is teaching you that subject. Is it someone who loves a lot of writing and explanation, or do you want somebody who or is it someone who just want to get to the point? So that is the next thing in terms of assessment as well. Knowing your assessor, knowing what your assessor requires of you. When I was teaching in the Yadai program, what they did, they actually hired me to teach the students. Then after they hired me to teach the students, there was somebody else who had to come in to make sure that what I am teaching them, they are aware of it. So I gave them tests. for them to do, and the assessor came in. The assessor did to make sure that they said to them, print something for me, copy something for me, scan something. So they had to do it and explain to the assessor. And then the assessor would, if they pass the assessor, they would now go and do a multiple choice paper. So they got tested in the real world scenario, and they got tested in knowing what they did. So they had to know first, they were tested. They had to physically show them what to do. Then they went on the computer system another week or so, and they had to answer the multiple choice questions.
Okay, I get you. No, we're not going to stay long tonight on this one, because I think anybody who may be listening, you have gotten a feel of what we're thinking. Somebody may have perfect results, 11 ones. Another person may have 11 twos. Somebody else may have 5 twos. What we're saying is that the results may look good on paper, but the person who only got the 5 twos, sometimes we don't know what caused them not to have performed on that exam. A lot of things may be happening with them. So results are beautiful, results are nice. It's a good reward for somebody who has worked hard. But we're saying that let us not judge people's ability by just the paper that they have. If it's for further education, it is necessary. But if it's to get a particular job that needs a particular qualification, it's necessary. But if it's just to give someone a chance to go further, to take another step in life, if it's to see if they can actually be thought about for further training, let us find other ways to test them. Let it not just be the paper, what they did last year, because sometimes it's not a true reflection of their ability. Any final words for us, Scotty?
Just for the person sitting examination, just do your best. As I always tell my students personally, that CXC, let me make sure, let me be careful and say that. I don't want person to misquote me. CXC is not bulletproof or fireproof, but it is better to have something that that you can. It's like a platform. So when you have CXC, that doesn't mean that your life is well and you're going to turn a millionaire tomorrow or whatever. It means that you have a platform to spring from, like a diver going into the pool. That the whiteboard that they use and jump and then dive. That would be your subject. That allows you to spring and dive to your destination where you want to go. So persons will get 10 subjects, as CNJ just said, and our 11 or 12 subjects. I mean that will get them the job. It is just a springboard. There are certain characteristics that you should have as well, and those are being on time, team player, being socializing, volunteering in your community, being a good citizens. All of those is really important, just as or more than the CXC, because it is good to be bright and educated. But when you do education, mean that you are transformed, you know to carry yourself and respond to certain situations. And if you are taught that way, if you are taught how to properly address people and things like that, and you're not doing it with your 11 subjects, it will not propel you as much as someone who has the subjects and also know how to carry themselves and be employed. Employability skills, we call it, right? And having those skills and talents. So CXC is important. Your grade does not really reflect who you are fully, but it can, in terms of if you work very hard and get a grade 1. It is a representation of you, but what you did, you worked very hard. So your personality is that you are a hard worker, you're persistent, you're dedicated. So that is what I'm talking about. So you need that. If you're not working hard, if you're not being persistent and trying your best in doing something, you will not achieve your full goal. You will not achieve your full goals. So when you get that F it does not represent you because you did not try any at all. It does show that you did not have the determination and persistence that you needed to achieve.
Thank you very much, Scotty.
You're muted.
Guys,
you're muted.
I'm not muted. Am I really muted? No, I'm not muted, Scotty. What I'll say is that,
Not
guys,
hearing
I
you.
want
Oh, that means my thing. That means my thing. Somebody was calling me.
yeah, it's yours. It's
Just,
yours.
I'm not hearing you, but just hearing you. But I see my.
All right, guys. So I want to thank everybody for being with us this evening. And remember, work hard for your exams. For persons who don't do exit exams like us in the Caribbean, just to say that when students get to fifth form, sixth form, they have to do some exit examinations, and that will actually state whether they go to university or it shows them their employer, possible employers, if they choose to go to work and not to further their education, the areas that they're very good at. But let me just say, thank you all for being with me this evening. Thank you all for being with me this evening. Thank you for participating, for persons who commented. But remember, your test results are not, sometimes it does not reflect you. But continue to work hard, get the grades that you deserve. And even if you don't get the grade, continue to work hard towards your future. This was CNJ and Scotty, and have a good night.